before we start filming this, our minds got blown discovering the secret connection between X-Men theme song and Whitney Houston. You don't believe us? Go and Google it, see what happens, and then comment below.
Motendo, yes, episode 4, Motendo. It's Jubilee's birthday. We in the X-Mansion, the X-Men are talking about, how we're gonna celebrate the birthday. Should we celebrate the birthday? Magneto's kind of like, we got things to do, y'all. We gotta talk about this little girl's birthday. Shortly after that, morning interaction, Jubilee's like, oh, she wants to go to the arcade. And then it cuts to her in the room with Sunspot.
She's like, you did have the Master of Magnetism in the Hall of Childish Play.
And then, there's a mysterious gaming system.
Yes.
That pops up out of nowhere in her room. We see that it says Motendo. And it's fashioned like an old Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo kind of vibe.
Right. With an old, what looks like an X-Men video game already installed, which she should have been suspicious of.
Yeah.
But she was like, oh wait, the X-Men said they had some surprises, so she thinks it's just a gift.
Right.
But she should have been like, who made the X-Men video game?
I mean, we did notice that they got mugs too with the logo on.
Yes.
So
we want to know who's in charge of the X-Mansion merch.
Right.
And supplies the entire mansion with all this merch.
There's a lot of questions here. They get trapped in the game, she goes on to turn on the game and immediately Sunspot is first, right? And then Jubilee. And then we find them in the game. And then there's a phone booth and the phone rings and then they get a call and then they kind of vanish. So it's like a little Matrix reference. That's when, because it's Mojo who's on the other line. And then he takes them, and then he's like, yeah, welcome to Mojo World.
X-Force is all I mean. This is the comic book history. X-Force, the way X-Force got created in the comics was like, there's New Mutants, who's the junior team. Their very last issue of New Mutants comics, originally, Cable is introduced. Cable comes through New Mutants issue. No one knows who he is. He's a new character. And he's just on some guerrilla warfare thing. He said, y'all need to finally graduate Xavier's school. Y'all want to come here. Xavier was off somewhere. Magneto they thought he was the headmaster, but they thought he became bad again. And the New Mutants were rebelling against him. So there was no one watching them. Right. And Cable's like, yo, come on. I can help y'all. So they all leave and go with Cable. And the very next issue is X-Force #1. So New Mutants became the first X-Force. And then Shatterstar is one of the new people Cable brought on, they just met him and then Mojo was supposed to represent hyper media, hyper capitalism media. He got created in the 80s. So I always thought it was a commentary on MTV and hyper mediation of society and something. And that's all he's talking about, ratings. So he makes the X-Men, he brings X-Men to a come out of life or death.
Right.
That's always a context.
Right.
Whenever he comes into it.
And all of that sounds very familiar. This being or this entity that's that feeds off of media and ratings and today we would call that an algorithm.
Yes. Yeah. At one point when they're fighting, and Mojo's telling I picked Jubilee. I picked you I need more ratings.
Yeah.
Right? And he says something. He says something like Wolverine, Magneto, Wolverine, and Cyclops, and Jean, or something. Something about they're preoccupied, or people are tired of that, or something. Jubilee and fresh blood. You can focus on you. It makes half the episodes about Jubilee, right? And they find out the mysterious character has a helmet on, and they make all these There's old nostalgia, they reference cyberpunk.
Yeah.
The character is very cyberpunk looking. They reference cyberpunk. They can't get to the character. When they get to the character opened a portal, gets them out of there, and then they go on top. The mysterious character has an escape room or something some area that is safe for them that Mojo can't get to. And they reveal that the mysterious character is actually older Jubilee. So it's some older version of Jubilee made from another dimension. And I think she had the lesson for her in there because basically she was saying like she's some type of variation that he had did this to.
Yeah.
And she rebelled and escaped and was like fucking with the game and the ratings ever since. And she told her like, Juby, I know there's a part of you that wants to stay here because like it's nostalgia, it's running home.
Yeah, it's everything you love.
Everything you love.
It's a video game.
And it's like, but there's a part. She's like basically like but if you stay in that, everything's the same. You don't grow.
Right.
I took it more of like, you know, if you get stuck in the same place, you're not gonna grow. Yeah. You have to grow in all aspects of things. You know, that was kind of like the lesson they had through Jubilee's character, this episode in there, right? And it was kind of like, okay, they kind of took that to heart. And then Mojo showed up. They had to battle him and stuff, and they kind of worked together to like chop down his legs.
Yeah.
And stuff.
They defeat Mojo. They make it out of the thing, and then they kiss. That's what happens.
Literally every episode has some relationship.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of
every episode.
This particular episode now begins Life Death Part 1. Picks up Forge and Storm.
Yeah.
As soon as we see them, they're talking back and forth. Forge puts Storm in the machine. And I have my theories about this, but I'll I'll get to it as we go along. Because at first, you know, she goes in the machine and she's there, and you know, seemingly it doesn't work, right? Hot take. I think the machine did work. The presence of the adversary like created that sort of a mental block for Storm. It's almost like feeding off that energy, like feeding off her fear. Because I'm like, how does Forge make all this shit, and then the one thing that you're making for your shorty, like she even said it, like she's like, yo, you're supposed to, you know, bring me back to my goddess. You know what I'm saying? And you out here, you know, you ain't doing shit. You know what I'm saying? With the mother trinkets you making, you know, for these people. You made the gun that took my powers away. You know, you can't give me my powers back. So that's why I think it did work, but she was blocked mentally, you know what I'm saying, by the adversary, which was the owl. You know what I'm saying? Which everybody knows straight. You know what I'm saying? We had this like back and forth with Storm and Forge, and him trying to help her, and her realizing like, you know, like, yeah, I don't have my powers, and you know, this nigga flew me out to Dallas and said, oh, I'm gonna get your powers back. And the nigga didn't get his powers back. You know what I'm saying?
It was funny because before that, when they went riding across the plains, however, Storm says, she says, the wind only blows in one direction here. Something else, like, because she's so in tune with nature because of her powers. Yeah. So even about her powers, she knows this thing. She's saying, like, this is not real. This place is not real. And what's funny is, like, Forge says, like, oh, you know, weather just changes. Like, he ignores her. Yeah. Which is funny because then when the adversary comes out, Forge is not surprised. We're all like, what the fuck is this giant owl doing talking? And around the corner, Storm's kind of like, what the fuck is that? He jumps up and says, get out my damn house, you demon! Yeah. So it's like, oh, nigga, you've seen this shit before. Right. Why are you familiar with demons? Right. Why you guys say that before you flew me out? Right. These are questions that need answers. The next episode is episode 5. Yeah. It's called Remember It. This in the history of the series, not even just the S997 series.
The whole series.
I think this is the wildest episode they've ever done.
Honestly, when I first watched it, like, I may or may not have been brought to tears. Yeah. Again, just more soap opera stuff. Like, you know, getting to see these characters and these mutants actually be more human.
Oh, it opens with Trish Tilby, who is like in the Marvel universe, the X-Men side, is the premier news reporter. She's a whole special about the X-Men. She gets access to X-Mansion. She's interviewing Beast. Just at the same time, we have found out in a previous episode, because Magneto saved the UN Council that was judging him from the terrorist attack by the Friends of Humanity, the United Nations decided to allow Genosha, the only mutant-run nation in the world, into the United Nations. They had this proposal that the first new chancellor, leader of Genosha, be Magneto. Like he's a symbol. They're
loves him.
Blah blah. Magneto says, "I'll do it if Rogue comes on with me," which is really his secret proposal to Rogue, which is kind of sketchy. We have a little side drama when Rogue goes to tell, after she hears Magneto's proposal, his proposition, she goes to tell Gambit because she's seriously considering this. And she's kind of like crying, being like, "Hey Gambit, this what's up?" Because they're kind of like an open relationship. Because they said something about, well, you didn't want to put no rules, labels on this, blah 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 and stuff. And so she kind of rolling with Magneto. Gambit's like, alright,
Alright, go do your thing.
Women that they cut back to the X-Mansion. There's a lot of back and forth between the X-Mansion and what's happening in Genosha. When they come back to X-Mansion, Trish Tilby's interviewing Cyclops. And it's going fine. So I'm just like asking little questions. And then she asks like, "Oh, you found you had a son?" And he goes, I don't have a son. And she goes, "Oh, but I did some research and medical records show there was a Nathan Summers and the doctor said that he told Rogue." And Cyclops just goes ballistic. He's like, "I didn't want to talk about this." He said, "Yeah, I had a son." Like he tells him like, "Yeah, there was a son. He was taken away." And then this is annoying because then Trish Tilby's like, she does all this like white savior thing, right? She goes, I put this whole thing on so the world will see X-Men as fine and human and you're just the same. Why would you lie? She has the nerve to say that. That's what Cyclops says. And when he says, "I lie because you're normal." And he goes off. I call it your normal speech. And he like rants on it. She's like, "What?" And he's like, "Because you're normal. You don't understand. You think people who are different are like below human." And he said we saved the world from aliens and robots and demons and we get shitted on. And he was like, and you come to prove to you that we're the same. He said, "Truth, like we're not the same." He said, "Thank God, because if we were, y'all be dead." It was like, and this is like live to like he's on TV and they're like, I was like, and he's like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of my face." And he walks off like that. But I didn't really like that moment though. We'll get to soon after that. I think Jean goes looking for Cyclops, or they cut to like we think Cyclops is in a room talking to Jean, talking about remembering the sun and everything, and then they kiss and we think it's Jean. But then the walls open up and Jean said, "Oh, let me let you. Don't tell me. I'll let you explain." So like something like that. And he goes, "Jean,
baby, no. I mean, this is one of the greatest episodes of episodic television period for the past how many years? So I say that to say like, if Marvel is smart and wants to keep their fans happy, make single shot stories with these fucking characters. Make hour 45-minute long animations, based in this world with these background characters like Exodus and all these Dazzler. It's not what they would do with comics, like single shot stories. Like you do like a 10-minute, 15-minute, animation or something like that. They had niggas on YouTube doing this shit, bro. Marvel do this.